Welcome back on my channel. Now, for your burn token holders, I got you a banging update. This one is regarding Byte-Idea. It's one of the huge projects on SHIBARIUM. Now, we got Mr. Lightspeed in the house telling us everything we need to know regarding Byte-Idea. How can it help us in our day-to-day life? So, Mr. Lightspeed, tell us who's using Byte-Idea and how? How are you scaling it?
For us is generative artificial intelligence working as a partner with us to inform the rest of the community on the governance for Bad Idea AI. And sometimes it's been outright brilliant. Sometimes it's been outright comedic relief as we demonstrate that artificial intelligence still needs some supervision. And so that's why we call it Bad Idea AI, because the tongue-in-cheek aspect of the project is that it very well could be a very bad idea, or maybe they end up being very good partners for humanity. But we'll see where it goes. But in short, this project, every element of it, from the website, its white paper, to even the strategic decisions we have made, have been AI driven.
And that's exactly why I think you're the guy to have this conversation, because it's like handing the reins over. A lot of projects, and I mean a lot of projects, when AI became a buzzword, it's probably been a buzzword now for going on 9 months. And every token that was an Inu is now an AI, and they've all tried to capture some sort of that buzz by claiming to use artificial intelligence or purporting to have AI technology or software, working somehow in the background for them. But the reality of it is that could mean so many different things. And for a lot of them, it's just a buzzword. So at Bad Idea, the difference is it's so deeply ingrained in how things are designed and set up, from the website to the papers to the way that decisions are being made. It's deeply ingrained in what they're doing. So for anybody that's in this community to not have a fundamental understanding of how to interact with, at least at a base level, these chat bots and stuff like that, it's going to be problematic. What we're doing essentially is you being this early into this means that you're going to likely be forever teaching at some point. Because you're learning it now, it means you're going to be teaching it going forward. Every person you meet won't have used this, and you're always going to have that same conversation. I found the same thing to be true with VR headsets, where I felt like I spent 90% of my time taking people through the tutorial for how a headset worked and never really getting to the cool games that I played when I was by myself. And I found that to be very frustrating, because I'm aware of how deeply, deeply cool VR headsets can be when you're skilled with the controllers and you're agile with the setup and the in and out of the apps and stuff like that. But there's such a clunky time period of getting good at it that a lot of people don't bridge that gap. We have to, I'm up here on my soapbox. I stole Mr. Lightspeed's soapbox. He talked about being glued to it. So we have to be the people that are constantly now teaching the very, very basics of AI. And we have to be able to do it in such a crisp and efficient way that it leaves people dumbfounded with what we just did, and it makes them want to learn more, instead of turning them off in a way that makes them say, hey, that sucked and I didn't like it and I don't want to do this for another year. Because every person that you show this to, if you do it right, they're going to be an advocate for not just AI, but maybe for what you're interested in too. I don't know how many people I sold Midjourney subscriptions just because I was doing it, and they asked what I'm doing, and then they go get Midjourney and they try it, and then eventually they've got subscriptions and now they're making their own images and stuff. So I feel, speaking up here as a individual person who has digital marketing background and experience, that if you want people to buy the Bad Idea AI token, which is something I don't ever really specifically talk about because it's not financial advice, do your own research, bring your own beer or whatever. The best way that you're going to do that is by showing people the utility and what you're already doing, and never mentioning the fact that they can buy the token, by showing them the chat bot and what you're already doing with it. Because I have had more people sign up for Midjourney and Chat GPT just because I've told them stories of what I'm doing with it, and that gets them more interested than any idea that there would be, hey, you can make a lot of money with Chat GPT, or you can make a lot of money with Midjourney. That's not going to turn someone on as much as if their first introduction to it is a casual conversation of you saying, well, here's what I'm doing with it, and I don't really have a vested interest in how you use it. I call that the soft shill. It's like when you're a kid, when you have two kids, nothing makes a kid want to play with a toy more than seeing a kid playing with a toy. If you guys have ever had two kids in the same room, two adults, fuck it, two adults in the same room, that jealousy is real. So the best thing you can do is learn how to use this AI chat bot and be very adept at using it, so that every person that sees you using it goes, shit, you are really, making your life better by using this bot. And then they're going to want to know more about it. And then I hand my soapbox back over. So what are you seeing, Mr. Lightspeed, in the bad idea chat? Because I just talked about beginners and stuff. What's the range of interaction that you're seeing, and what would you say based on some of the stuff that I just had?
Well, from the silly, asking funny questions, that's okay. It livens up the room. It's definitely a center point of conversation. It gets used a lot, especially in private DMs. The usage is actually through the roof, and was actually the first reason why we had to scale and take it to cloud off of hardware infrastructure that we had running, is because of private interaction with it that people don't see. And then there's the informed uh, interaction where we're asking and prompting for guidance or to explain how something works. So it's been acting as like a super admin. So for people who don't understand a certain crypto concept or how things work, they've been able to prompt the bot to educate them, and then it educates the rest of the community. So our community, I think, is exceptionally smart because of it, in comparison to quite a few others, with a few exceptions. And and because of that, I think we've developed, and meme means culture in its essence. So we have a culture of interaction with AI that we're trying to facilitate here and get people used to working with it. And we also learn that prompting, and we'll get into it, the kind of prompt and how well structured your prompt is can guide the AI to certain destinations, intended or not intended. And how can you get an unbiased response as well? And what everyone's seeing in our group is a lot of different applications, like the super admin. We could tailor, for example, let's say one of our partners, let's use MarsSwap in this case. We can develop a database for MarsSwap. Bad idea AI can be in there, and it can act as a representative of MarsSwap to answer the frequently asked questions and be able to use artificial intelligence to adapt to how they're asking that information, or if there's gaps in the knowledge, which is what our beta can do, with the machine learning aspects to it. So it's an assistant to the community. And that's one use case we want to take from that, is to provide a tailored use model for other communities. It could be a free version where there's like a small advert at the bottom, for example. That would be a great way to monetize it. Or we can provide a free model as a service. We're given something, maybe they buy bad idea AI tokens, and then we tailor something for a specific community. So, and if people have other ideas how they can imagine that being used, all power to them. I'd love to hear it. But now with enterprise level API support that's just been released in the last week with ChatGPT, which is where we get the basic prompting. We do lots of post processing and pre-processing, and some machine learning algorithms as well for our database. So it's just a start. It's not the end when it comes to ChatGPT and their APIs. But with enterprise level, we can get much faster responses, and we can support many, many, many calls from many, many people. Because if you can imagine the number of people on Telegram itself, that's going to be a massive database. And so how are we going to scale is going to be, if we can take this to scale, the amount of compute that's going to be needed is astronomical in my mind. So that's why I'm going to be meeting at 3 today with the company to kind of try to define to them the requirements we're looking at, and what would be the cost, what would be the challenges we'd have to face, and start scoping out this project for mass adoption.
And one of the things I think about when you're talking about connecting with these other communities and having a branded bot is I can't go to an exchange or an app anywhere today right now without logging in and seeing that little bubble pop up in the corner with their little branded AI chat assistant bot. Now they're everywhere. Yeah. They're on everywhere. They're on CoinMarketCap, crypto.com. They're on non-crypto stuff. And so much of what we're talking about here, I don't want to get everyone caught up thinking that this is just a crypto conversation, because AI goes so much further than that, but we're all here in that like narrow thinking space right now. Every website right now is trying to figure out that AI chatbot assistant, and having something that you can package neatly and offer to partner websites that don't have this stuff. We're not necessarily going to offer the Sarah bot to crypto.com because they've already got all their own stuff right now anyway. And no insult to what they're doing and no insult to what we're doing, but they're all kind of cookie cutter in the very nature of what they do. But you can imagine, for instance, I'm just talking right now, that every Shibarium project website that goes online doesn't always have a chatbot assistant right away, or they might not have access to that, or even think that they could have access to that. But maybe there are levels of interaction that when this is a functional thing, you would see that Sarah would be in multiple websites. You could see that same bot in multiple websites. That's just one thing that I've thought about, because I'm seeing these chat assistants almost on every website now, and I'm wondering how they're going to consolidate. And that's one thought that I had.
Right. And they could be white labeled tools, who knows who made it for them. And we can white label, obviously, as a solution. But we're trying to find a niche into it. What makes it unique? What is the contribution to the larger thing of AI? And that's what we're focusing initially on: governance, as well as ensuring we have a set of tools that will work with the AI chatbots that we have. And obviously, we wanted to remember conversations on a per Telegram handle conversation or Discord handle. Those are tougher challenges than it looks like on the surface. Now, what would be really cool if you set up some kind of accounts and I go from Telegram over to Discord and it still remembers me. Now, I think that's something that would be really cool. And I don't think that is a problem that has been solved yet in the space. So if we can get to it and solve it, would have first mover advantage. But it's a difficult one. And so we need to find the right skills, the right talent. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. And that's why when people ask, why is it tokenized then? Well, here you go. At the end of the day, you're creating jobs, you're creating employment for people. They do some work and you try to spread that love around. We still got to do the decentralized thing. But at the end of the day, you end up with a product. And if that product can in some way autonomously return back to the project with our hands free of it, then you got a good model. And I think we can do it.
I agree. I think it's something that can be explored further and definitely monetized. One of the things I see also happening in the chat, and this is a massive application for AI, completely outside of crypto, but again, I know the people that are in the Bad Idea chat see this, and this is something that if you're in the chat right now would be a great opportunity to play with this one, is communication efficiency and being able to get points across better. I know that because we are here on X, this is an easy point to talk about, because there are names right now in the listener section that I can see that do not know that they are currently under shadow bans on this platform. And I know this because I know too damn much about X. Like I've spent way too much time on here, and I know how to look at these things and know who's got these problems. And one indicator of this is if you are appearing in the show more section, when I see posts, if I have to click on show more to see your name, that's one indicator that we probably have a problem with your circulation on X. And how can a bot help with that? Well, you can be using that bot to basically write the skeleton of, if not every post that you put on this platform. And you could avoid repetitive posting. You could avoid sounding like a bot by using the bot. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but if you're in the Bad Idea chat right now, I saw people doing that today, you could use that /AI prompt and then write, if you write it correctly, give me a post with 240 or less characters about blank, fill in the blank. What do you want to put there? Fill in the blank, right? A bad idea and why to buy it. Why to use the bad idea bot. Why to join the Telegram. It's literally wide open for you to ask this thing to script you as many posts as you want and as many edits and as many iterations of these posts as you want. So something to consider is if you find yourself to be a person who struggles with getting these posts across on X or actively shilling these things and you're getting your posts rejected, try to use that bot to modify how you're speaking to people. Use it to change your tone. Do you speak English? Is it your first language? Run your stuff through the bot. Do you need to speak something other than English? Ask it to do the same thing. But we were playing with posts in Korean yesterday just because somebody said something about a Korean group just to showcase the bot. You can ask it, give me 3 shill posts for X under this amount of characters in this language and highlight these following things. And the more information you feed it, the better your output's going to be. So pull up that DM on the bot right now. Start sending it that. And if you guys have any AI shill posts, you should post an example in the chat that's running in the bottom right corner. I would love to see it if some of you that are currently able to access the chat bot can show me some examples of the posts that the bot has given you, if you could do that. And I get a request right now. Oh, there it is. I couldn't see it just a second ago. I'm going to prove another speaker while we're waiting. We'll see what anybody gives us in the running stuff down there.
Always up to hearing other points of views too.
This is Majid. I think Majid's been to one of my spaces before. Majid, microphone check. How are you?
I wish you well. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
how are you? Yes, sir.
Okay, wish you well all. Mr. Lightspeed, I have a question about Bad Idea AI. Maybe it's technical, but I wanted to know how would Bad Idea AI use the pragmatic aspects of neurolinguistics in its conversations?
That's way over my head, to be quite honest, because I'm not the engineer for it. I would consider myself more of the program manager for it as we bring in the technical experts. But a machine language expert would probably be the best person to talk to. So I'm going to flip it around and ask, since it's a smart question, that you may be a very smart person, if you have any thoughts on the matter.
Okay, please refer to me that I'll have a conversation with him over there. Okay, it will be your method.
It's a really good question. You're not wrong at all. The funny thing is I just love that your answer is like, wow, that's above my pay grade. Because I'm sure there is something like that happening, but I couldn't even go into any details. But thank you for the question, Majid. That's one of those that getting the person that knows that to an X Spaces feels like that's going to be a hard one. But that would be cool.
I would think technically it's applied at the API level. I would think that when you Open AI probably has that. It's on their end of when you look at our technical layers, we have 6 layers that go beyond ChatGPT and their algorithms through us. We do some post and pre-language processing just to kind of get it into the spirit of the Shiba ecosystem. So there's some of that, but at the level that you're thinking, I think that's at the base level, which would be a step past us. And I'm taking a stab at that as best I can.
Okay, if I get it right, you mean that restructuring from the lawyers is possible right now? It's not developed completely.
It's not completely, but getting all the way into neurolinguistics, that's just really, really, really hard topic to discuss in a call like this. It'd be the kind of question I'd want to have some homework done before I could have that academic discussion, because it's pretty tough.
Thank you, Mr. Lightspeed. Thanks for your time.
We can train it. We can do some training. We can do some small training. And we do have 2 agents that do observe the dialogue and identify gaps in how things work. but in terms of syntax and semantics, phonetics, all those kind of things that are involved in linguistics, I'm just not at a level to give you that. I appreciate it, though. Good question.
And that's something I'll be interested in hearing when we finally do figure that out, because you know I'm very pedantic about my linguistic specificity. It's why I consider myself to be so good at prompt craft in the first place. It's like I found a place where my affliction for words having meaning finally pays off with AI. Shout out, by the way, to Alan for trolling that guy in the comments about wanting 10 Ethereum. Don't anybody send that guy 10 Ethereum. I don't think he needs it, frankly. But I appreciate you smacking him around down there. If you guys don't know, Alan's been a longtime supporter, a big friend of mine. So shout out to Alan for cyberbullying because I didn't see it. That's great. Joe Radcliffe, microphone check. What's up?
Hey guys, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's
hey,
good?
Thank you for doing these as always. Glad I can make this one. Quick question. Well, first of all, who doesn't need 10 Ethereum? But absolutely inappropriate to ask for it. The question I had for you guys was OpenAI just announced on Wednesday about, and I apologize if you guys talk about this, cut me off if you have, about being able, their chatbot being able to access internet and have those real-time features enabled. Do you know, I know maybe the devs aren't on this call, do you know, Mr. Lightspeed or anybody, how close we might be to being able to leverage that connection to the live internet in our bot?
Yeah, I think it might be there in the beta. Let me go check, because if it's available to the masses, it should be available to us, depending on how many API calls we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So let me check on it. I would think that it would just be, it'd be generally brought to anyone, and we should inherit that downstream.
Yeah.
But I would have to confirm with some quick tests.
I do think
on it.
Oh, sorry. I know that for if you're using the app, it's a subscriber benefit. So like Chat GPT Plus, the general user doesn't get it. So I don't know what our status is there, but
did they make it part of the free version?
No.
Because I know on the paid version. Okay, well it used to do that anyway with a plugin, and that's another discussion about plugins, which is part of the Plus. The paid for version is that there's some amazing plugins that can assist in enhancing plain vanilla ChatGPT. So you can create plugins that will fine tune its ability to go find information or to respond to you or to even develop a better prompt, which is one of my favorite tools. But the enterprise level one is the one we're interested in.
Yeah.
And the enterprise level support does all that. And we're probably going to need something like that. And I keep thinking to myself, wow, that just sounds expensive. Every time I hear the word enterprise. But if we're going to scale it, that's the level we're going to need to be. So then I start thinking, okay, how are we going to pay for it? Because we're a 0% tax token.
Right.
And that's going to be the challenge, because you got to remain you want to remain a commodity end of the spectrum, not a security. So it's a very, very careful dance. And I've described how fundraising works very transparently in our chats, so people understand how that can work very, very carefully to not hurt your chart.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
at the end of the day, that's going to be the challenge. And how can you do that? How can you take tokens, make it USDT, so you can take a big-brained machine learning scientist, and we've actually had PhDs reach out to us because they're just academically curious and want to code the stuff because it's an application they didn't see coming, and it's different. And there's some people that are just they're attracted to things that are just different use cases because they're getting a little tired of the plain vanilla. That happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, anyone can make this stuff. It's really how we use it that we're trying to focus on. So we will be doing the technical things. We will develop these generative AI. But what we're really end state, if I was to ask, where's the end goal, is an AI-centric DAO structure that works.
Yeah. So not as interested, I guess, on. Well, sorry, to circle back, you said that you were interested in the enterprise, just not sure how we'll work into being able to afford it. Is that correct?
Well, eventually,
yeah,
we'll get to it. We're going to scale. And scaling doesn't happen overnight. You want to know what to scale to.
Right.
So we got to assess the demand, and the generative AI as a tool that we're going to build is going to support that DAO construct. So once we get it to, wow, this is really working well, and we can show it to other people, then it's probably good enough for us to now try to plug it into some kind of DAO construct, write out all the bylaws, create the legal framework, set up a company like in the British Virgin Isles so you can legally do a DAO. Yeah. It's a lot harder than people think. You just don't say we're a DAO and then and to do the autonomous part, throw a smart contract. If you want to do it legally, sure, and you then let's do it right. There's more steps, and we got all the talent for this, by the way, to pull it.
And the reason I was asking that is just because crypto is such a fast-moving, paced environment and market, as you guys know, that I think the faster that we could connect to the live internet, the better we are postured to stay up to date with legislation, to stay up to date with terminology and all that. So I'm glad to hear that you guys have already started to look into that. I just wanted to bring it back to our attention, make sure that as of Wednesday, it is available now. Again, just whether or not we qualify for it yet or not is something we'll be watching for. But that's one of the biggest ways I use.
Yeah, I think it's behind the paywall.
Yeah,
I think it's behind their paywall. If it is, then it's the enterprise API support that we all want. And I think we got the resources because we have massive resources at our disposal. People look at those wallets and flip it around and say, do we burn it all? Or can we find a way to can we creatively use that in a way, if we can do this smartly, and if we can fundraise, and if we can micromanage these exchanges, and I'm a micromanager with them because of last year.
Sure.
That's what they get, unfortunately. So I pull up dashboards. I watch them all the exchanges at once operating to keep an eye on it. If we can successfully do that, then I think that would be a great success story. And that's what I want to do, is to get these AI bots to work with the DAO.
Yeah.
And the enterprise API is what I'm interested as our ultimate hookup, because we saw what happened when they recommended, here's our recommendations for listings. Number 1, Bitmart. Okay, yeah, well, that's too expensive. Number 2, it said FTX. Okay. Yeah, we got a problem with AI right now. It's like, and so, your point
is
how
fast things change and how quickly the environment gets dated. So I'm glad to thank you for being willing to consider that for a use of maybe some spending and stuff. One of the main ways I use AI is the live connection to the internet to get current news, and then secondly, image generation, and just kind of wanted to put a little plug in there for anyone listening. Ours can't do it yet, but there are AIs out there that you can use for free, like Bing or some of these other ones. And I hate to talk about another AI in our call, but I use it to create original graphics to post on my shill post, and to post and to share, and to try to tell the story of what we're trying to accomplish here. So make sure you're using that and get a graphic or a GIF or something to add to your posts, so it draws people's attention and helps explain what we're doing, because sometimes text is can be boring to folks. So you get a picture with SHIB or something else involved, and with slight editing right after, you can have an original graphic that helps tell the story. So but I think that was my only question for now. Thank you so much for your answers.
No, I appreciate it. You mentioned news, and I remembered some of the notes that we have a developer working on the machine language part of it. It was talking about connecting it to a news feed from another angle. In other words, we're getting responses from, say, ChatGPT, but he's also incorporating other feeds into our central point for processing. So that part made me raise my eyebrows and go, oh, well, that's interesting. Because I always thought, one single line all the way through from beginning to end. I didn't think of how things could fork out to other sources of information to pull in.
Okay.
So
not behind the paywall.
So in that sense, what he's probably doing then is trying to find the most cost-effective way. If someone's got a paywall, but there's another artificial intelligence solution that doesn't, we connect in there and we find all the places that we can do this on the cost-effective way. that aren't paywalled. Well, then I think he's thinking economically, and I think that's smart because you usually don't get that out of an engineer.
Yeah.
And so, from my experience, so kudos to him. So I'll take it back to him. But in the meantime, I've already pulled up the website, and I'll contact OpenAI's business development team. They got a place for enterprise level support, and I'll do that from the company account.
Thank you. It does show too. You're probably seeing the same, but it shows that it's available to GPT Plus, Chat GPT Plus, and Enterprise. So, in case one's better than the other, that may be a little slightly cheaper option to get the Plus instead of Enterprise.
Enterprise is just freaking awesome from what I've been hearing.
Awesome.
But I got a feeling that's the figure on that one's gonna make me cough up my coffee.
Excellent.
So the thought process I have on this is, you said two things, and then I'm going to do a room reset, because you said, I'm sorry for bringing up Bing or GPT on our call. If you don't think Coca-Cola sits around and talks about Pepsi, you're out of your mind. Like, they definitely sit around and they're like, those sons of bitches over at Pepsi have done it again. Like, they definitely have their name on their tongue. You know who your competitors are. So I wouldn't be worried about bringing up who we have to deal with or who we're up against or any of that. So same thing as I would say in the Telegram chats. Like, there's a huge difference between talking about a competitor and shilling. It's probably okay to talk about him. And then the other thing, this goes to Mr. Lightspeed, and he's going to hate this because he always hates this. Dude got all bullish and he's like, we have PhDs looking at us. Like, he isn't Dr. Lightspeed 2. Get off that. We got PhDs looking at us. You're a PhD, bro. I'm going to make you wear your hat.
Yeah, well, my students make me wear my hat.
I know, and they call you doctor too. So don't make me bust it out and beat everyone over the head with your diploma. I'll do it. So I appreciate that everyone is here. We're like 39 minutes in, so I went past the room reset because that was a great question. But if you've been here for now 39 minutes, give or take, listening to the recording or live in person, you probably need to stand up and stretch. Damn, what are you doing sitting down this long? Sedentary lifestyle can lead to cardiovascular disease and atherosclerosis, amongst other things. I'm also a personal trainer. Get up and get a drink of water. We'll still be here. I mean, it's not like I'm going anywhere. You can carry your phone with you unless you're listening on desktop, in which case just turn up the volume and go in the other room. I'll yell. I can yell if it helps. Just get up and move, because we're going to be here for like another 20 minutes, and I just don't want you to have like a thrombosis. That's like where you get that thing in your leg because you sat on the airplane too long. You've probably heard about it. Most of you guys are old enough to know about these old people problems that I'm talking about, right? Got high blood pressure and shit. So welcome back to the spaces. We're talking about, you could look up, by the way, what a thrombosis was using the Bad Idea AI chatbot. Bad Idea AI, your place for artificial intelligence information and research, where you can find medical information, recipes, and blockchain information all in the same place. I wanted to spend the remaining 20 minutes, as I tend to do in the spaces, getting a little more weird and a little more eclectic, because we've paid homage to the blockchain use, and we've talked about the chat bot and stuff like that. But I want to talk about some of the less crypto things and the more normal people things. Not to say that you guys aren't normal, but listen, we've talked about, if you're in the spaces this long at this point, you're part of the weird crew with me. What are normal people going to use AI for, you guys? Like, have you ever used it for a recipe? Like, have you ever looked up, like, oh, what do I need for this recipe? What are the following? What do I need to get from the grocery store? Have you done it to design a workout yet? I'm a personal trainer. I've sat around and spent some considerable time plugging in different prompts into GPT. And frankly, there are a lot of guys whose jobs are on the line because it can give me pretty decent workout routines because, and if this is coming to Bad Idea, then this is going to be a thing for us too. The ability to continue a conversation, give it a prompt, look at the information, prompt it again based on that reply, get another reply. If you know what you're doing, you can sit there and really build these conversations and work yourself into having a decent fitness routine. Like, I'm not saying I'm out of a job because I do a very specific thing, but if you're just looking for a workout online anymore, that's just as competitive as half the apps that I know guys are trying to sell you to. So what are any of you here using GPT for that is not crypto related? I'd be curious if any of you have used it for anything like that yet. Lightspeed, have you done anything totally not crypto with it yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I teach airspace and cyber power employment every month as one of my side hustles for the U.S. Air Force. So, and I have master's degree level students. So, artificial intelligence, in this case, is used for a couple things: plagiarism checking, and whatnot is always a handy tool. But I simply use it to help me fine tune my responses, and we have academic plugins that through the university, scholarly plugins that allow it access to our university's repository of knowledge that's not out there on the broad internet. So it goes from internet to intranet. It goes into our intranet. What I'm saying is from our own university library and its repository of information that's available to a very interesting niche of professional military education. So I use it in that way.